So here's a 1971 Jacuzzi FM series pool sand filter. And what's unique about these is the drain system on them and how it works. In my view, it's simply the best and the most well engineered, and I'll show you briefly why. This isn't the original head for it. I've replaced the original head probably about 2 or 3 times. The newer series of these, they call them the laser and whatnot, they still use the same style head. The only difference is the height of the basket. Now, the only flaw and the only reason why this is headed out to the curb is the way the head secures to the barrel. You'll see you have these brass ferrules which are in the resin, and some of them have begun to pull out. That's likely a result of improper torque or just simply age. You can see this one is below the surface of the plastic and these start to pull out. So as this ferrule starts to rise, it doesn't matter how tight you crank on those bolts, it's going to leak. Now, inside of here are some of the laterals, and you can see the drain goes right through the center. Then sits this, which is a little strainer. And then the standpipe with the laterals just kind of sits on that. So now we come around to the other side, and you see we have this long plastic tube, and it comes right out the center. So that means the almost entire majority of the water is going to be allowed to drain out at the end of the season. This is particularly important for winterization when things freeze. These here were really prone to cracking because people wouldn't let all the water drain out, and they'd go ahead and put the cap back on. You just leave the cap off for the end of the season, put it on the shelf, and don't worry about it. If you ever did need to change this when it cracked, you would have to empty all of the sand and get the entire thing apart. There's no way to access this without emptying the barrel, so that was a bit of a pain. Other than that, it's a really well designed filter, and it's held up all of these years. Now, of course, I'm in the process of installing this. We've all seen these. They're pretty much the standard everywhere. The Hayward sand filters. Even the current generation that Jacuzzi produces, the drain valve is right here and it comes out the side. Now, the issue with that is that anything below there is full of water. The water is only going to stop once it reaches this point. Not a huge deal, because as long as freezing water has somewhere to go, it's not going to damage anything. So this here is the standpipe / lateral assembly for a Hayward filter. You might have the one with the hinged laterals. This one just has the ones that screw in. And I've seen quite a number of these crack right at the bottom, and I can never really understand why. And it's now clear that that is an issue of freezing water pushing up underneath there. So generally the water level is going to sit somewhere around here, and if you don't evacuate it properly, or your filter's not level, or something goes wrong, the freezing water is going to push up underneath here, break the laterals, or break the standpipe assembly itself. And again, to replace this, you must remove all of the sand, take the whole thing apart, and get a new one. Where the design is far superior, however, is the way the multiport valve attaches to the barrel. You have this clamp assembly here and a giant O-ring underneath. So if either of those components fails, which is to say the O-ring goes bad or this breaks, you can simply replace them. You're not relying on any mechanical fastener on this assembly itself. So it would have been nice if Jacuzzi or Hayward could have designed a filter with that sort of drain valve at the bottom and a combination of this filter or this multi-port valve head assembly. My kind of idea perhaps is at the end of the season, of course as I'm installing this now there's going to be unions on every connection, so you just unscrew that, pop the top off and have access to inside, is perhaps to slide some kind of a tubing like a copper pipe or something and just work it in there down through the sand until I poke to the bottom, and then I'll be able to suck out any water that's under there. Or maybe just attach my shop vac here and hope to get enough of a suction that I can draw out the majority of the water. But as I say, I've only seen that failure a couple of times, but enough times that it's apparent it's a problem.